Good morning. Today I will discuss the game referenced to as the shot heard around the world, which is a game between the Giants and Dodgers in 1951. American journalist Eric Neal wrote an article for ESPN called The Shot That Changed the World. The article is about one of the most famous games in baseball's history between the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers for the National League pennant in 1951. This game was the deciding game in the championship series, with the winner going on to compete in the World Series. The shot heard around the world is one of the most famous phrases in baseball, and the game is still discussed today. I've studied baseball for the last 25 years as a player, a professional umpire, and a coach. This is one of the most interesting games ever played, which includes rumors and decisions that affected the outcome of the game. I will begin with the history of the term shot heard around the world. I will talk about the importance this game has on baseball, and I will discuss how this game is still relevant today. The shot heard around the world has affected baseball in ways no one could have seen. Where does the phrase "a shot heard around the world" come from? As Eric Neal wrote in The Shot That Changed the World, American poet Ralph Waldo Emerson coined the phrase in Concord Hymn in 1836 tribute to the colonial soldiers who began the Revolutionary War by engaging British troops at Concord, Massachusetts, 1775. Here once embattled farmers stood, Emerson wrote, and fired the shot heard round the world. In Eric Neal's article, The Shot That Changed the World, he writes, "It was a breakthrough television event. AT&T had installed coast-to-coast cable for the first time. In the months leading up to the playoffs, and the series between the Dodgers and Giants became the first professional series broadcast live." Now that we understand the phrase, we look at the importance it had on the game. So why is the game important to baseball? Besides it being the first nationally televised game in baseball's history, it is how the Giants ended up in the game in the first place. Elizabeth Nix writes in an article for History, the Giants weren't even supposed to be in the pennant race, being 13 and a half games behind the legendary Dodgers by mid-August, but then won 16 games in a row and 37 of their last 44 to tie Brooklyn for the lead. With the Giants overcoming what was to be an insurmountable lead that the Dodgers had and then beating them to win the pennant and go on to the World Series, it became one of the biggest upsets in the history of baseball. John Leo writes for the HuffPost entry, things you didn't know about Bobby Thomson's home run in the 1951 Giants. Thomson's hit would probably not have been a home run in any other major league park. The Giants played their home games at the Polo Grounds, which is incredibly short. Right field has a distance of 258 feet, and left field was 279 feet. To put it into perspective, a high school baseball field has to be at least 300 feet all the way around. With that said, any other park in America, it would not have been a home run. Now that we've covered the importance of the game, we can look at how it is relevant to today. The relevance of this game today, the game's relevance came up again in recent years because of the Astros sign-stealing scandal. Sign stealing has been a part of baseball since its inception, but there is a specific way to go about stealing signs and how to relay them to your teammates. Tom Jackman wrote in A Baseball's Cheating History includes its most famous home run, the shot heard round the world. It was a handheld telescope by a coach in the outfield, who then pressed a buzzer and relayed it to the bullpen, who would signal the hitters. While these things of this nature could never be proven while the Giants were in New York, it reminded everyone just how this game has affected baseball for decades. Today we took a look at the history of the phrase shot heard round the world. We looked at why this game is important to baseball. We were able to see how this game still relates to the games played today. Shot heard round the world is one of the most famous phrases in baseball, and the game is still talked about today. This game has stood the test of time. It shows the importance it played on baseball, good and bad. Without this game, who knows if sports would have ever taken off as they did. And the opposite end. If the Giants hadn't ever cheated, would the Astros have tried to do it today? Thank you.